Good evening, dog. You're back, eh? Good on you. Well, I guess I made this place quite enjoyable, ain't I? Hasn't always been the case, you know. Should see what it used to be. I mean, it's nice up here and the few floors above the bar itself, but well, if I was you, I'd avoid going to the basement. Especially at night, and especially on a full moon. No, don't laugh. Nobody really knows how far it goes under the ground, see. Before Gina and Max came to work with me, I had a few employees who went to try to figure out what's in the basement. Never came back. Yeah. Now, there's all sorts of theories regarding what the gang that used to own the place did down there. I mean, I must say, the craziest ones are probably closest to the truth. So, you can understand why I'm not in a big hurry to find out. One day I'll organise a proper expedition. For the time being, we just chained up the big industrial doors we found down there, and hopefully that should keep what's under there where it is. Now, as you might have noticed, I don't have much help here. Apart from the android strippers and robot security guards, it's more or less just me, Gina, and her brother Max. Good bloke, Max. He don't talk much, but you can always count on him. Only, you need to know one thing about him. He ain't that bright. So never try to explain technical stuff to him, as it'll only produce two things, right? First, if you're lucky, he faints. But look out for when he wakes up, as he gets a bit shy about that, and he might bash the shit out of you. Second possibility is that he just goes into a rage and bashes the shit out of you anyway. We lost a few customers because of that. What I mean by lost, like never come back, nah, wrong. They're dead. Let's just call it an accident. But still, it gets messy, so please, if you want to share some technical issues you got with your bike, tell me or Gina, not Max, okay? I'm over having to clean up the mess. Don't know what there is in blood that stains the floor so much, eh? Anyway, Gina and Max came to me when Gina was still a teenager and Max was just a kid. Technically, he still is a kid, even though he has to duck down to pass the doors now. Something strange happened when they lost their parents. It was just at the end of the war. It was to do with a huge blast the town took. Lots of weird things happened to people who were too close to the epicenter or went there right after. Apparently, he was normal in his head before that. Smart enough kid, normal size. I found the two of them starving on my doorstep one morning. Didn't know what to do with them. I've never been the dad kind of guy, and Gina had a bit of an attitude. But I could see that she could make herself useful. And her brother, as long as he likes you, he'll do pretty much what you ask him to. Well, as long as he understands it. I mean, he could serve you drinks, but he ain't allowed to touch the register or the computers. He does the security too if some dickhead needs to be kicked out and Gina can't deal with him. And she's quite busy with doing a few things around the place, serving her customers with the help of the robot strippers, playing music. Back in the day, when she first arrived, she met quite a few bikers from back then, you know. She was a good-looking girl. She went along good with would end up being the president of the Stray Dogs Motorcycle Club. That was before gang wars and the women-only gang called the Alley Cats was made. I think I told you last time, we've got all sorts of motorcycle clubs coming here. They can ride, race, do whatever the fuck they want outside. But from the car park all the way to the bar, that's a different story. That's holy ground in a way. No fighting allowed. Rules here, and I got the firepower to make anybody respect them. Most gangs in town have been established for long enough for their members to know that it's not in their interest to get kicked out of the Pissed Off Piston. That would mean no more business for them. They'll be broke in no time. Now there's rumours and legends on the roads around here, in the streets. Different districts have their own history. About gangs that everyone knows about, but no one really knows if they actually exist. And the Oilers is one of them. Sure you've heard of them, eh? Every state has that legend, sometimes under different names. But the frame of the story always goes the same way. Some gang of disgusting, greasy bikies that builds traps on deserted roads to provoke accidents and steal what's left of the unfortunate riders. And they're supposed to use all sorts of shitty traps, like putting wires between two trees or poles and, stuff like that. But their favourite's meant to be simply drowning parts of a corner with engine oil. Weirdest part of the story is that they're said to not kill the riders, or at least not finish off the ones who survived the little accidents. People say they've seen them tow their wrecks away. They'll say the same thing about evil laughter when a crash happens, fading into the night. As I said before, technology went back a lot after the war, and repairing things became more important than producing new stuff. Fewer factories, but little workshops popped up everywhere. That's why there's a huge need for spare parts. Not so many ships coming through the port and less goods entering the country. That's probably a good thing. I don't know. Stuff's being made locally again, so that's good, eh? Can't say I'm sad about it when you see how motorcycles started to look before the war. Engines were getting more and more powerful, but full of bloody electronics. After a few years, they're impossible to maintain due to unavailable, stupid, bloody computer updates. Not to mention the way they looked. Something halfway between an electric shaver and a freaking sex toy. Fuck. Every year, it was the same crap. 5 horsepower more and 2 kg less than the previous model. Who gives a shit about having 300 uncontrollable horsepower, needing a whole lot of electronics just to keep the fucking front wheel on the road? Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, you didn't know about this, but politicians from back then invented some great stuff about that. It was called speed limits. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, they made people believe there was some kind of magic limit where if you broke it, suddenly you'd have a crash. And I mean stupidly slow, like 110 kilometres an hour. I don't laugh, that is the truth. And the cops would steal as much as your cash to pay for every K over the limit. Every km over is a killer. Used to read that on road signs. I mean, every kilometre over the limit is a bit more money. It was all about marketing. You never heard of marketing? Fuck, lucky you. It was a form of art. I mean, how to sell people things that they don't actually need. Needless to say, all the people who worked in that field had disappeared since the war came. Useless people selling useless things weren't exactly needed in a world of survival. What else, eh? Oh yeah, if you go away from the city, in the little country towns, people talk about disgusting lone riders that belong to the Plague Wheelers Motorcycle Club. You heard of that one? These guys are said to never take their bike gear off. Yeah, any inch of their skin we can see is said to look like rotten flesh covered in blisters. Fuck. They stink like hell, but they carry important information. Messages or important information they deliver to clubs' presidents only. No one really knows where they come from or where they go. On the patches, there's only the country. No town, no state, Nobody knows which town they're from, where their territories or clubhouses are. They never talk about themselves and never answer any questions about anything else than what brings them. Once the message is delivered, they take payment and fuck off. Legend says that whoever's tried to follow them to find out more have never come back. You didn't know about any of these legends, did you? Eh? Where do you come from? You don't talk much, do you? That's okay. Joe's got plenty of stories for you. Yeah, I told you Gina was hooked up with the stray dogs. Well, don't ask her about the dog-head tattoo on her back. It always makes her quite angry. Actually, sometimes she cries about it. And Max don't like it when someone makes his sister cry. Did you know she actually played an important part in the making of the Alley Cats MC? Oh, but that's another story. It's getting late, eh? I better start shutting down. Ride safe, pal.